DryerBuzz.com and follow at DryerBuzz on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's all about the buzz.
Inhale, exhale, get started. This is a special how to get out of bed because we have a boater out there. We got a boater. We got some ducks coming ashore here because they heard me coming up. They're like, let's go see if she got some food. I'll wait till they get closer. Over. Look at there. Yeah. We're hanging out. One of the things I love is when I have days of calls, and y'all know my Tuesdays, I am full on in producer mode. Let me get comfortable here. I'm full on in producer mode where I produce the ripple at the edge here. Oh, they heard me, they're coming, y'all. So, on Tuesdays, I have to produce, that's my content day. I moved every possible thing I can to Tuesdays, and literally, and about to add one more. In fact, I have a call today about noon. There they come. They're flying in, the waterfowl. So I have a call today, and I'm like, sit at home. I love sitting in my PJs, but I'm sitting out here, y'all. I'm sitting at the lake. I was not the lake, the reservoir. I just dropped Petty Betty. I just saw Big Boy. He just jumped out the water. I love watching this water come to life, right? So, and look at the fishermen out there. I'm going to be quiet. Let me check the banks. I have to check the banks because, look at that. Go, honey. I see you over there stretching, coming up out that water. I love them, y'all. Those are gold mates over there. Look at that. It's 4 of them. Y'all see them over there? Look at them. Coming up out that water. Those are gold mates. And I noticed. Let me tell you, don't sleep on your gold mate. Don't sleep on your ideas. If you saw the name of this podcast, or if you're just seeing it and like, what is this? There's more. Just as the thing said, go to DryerBuzz.com. Man, there's a weird ripple going on out there. Man, they are jumping. The fish are jumping. That's the thing. They do. They jump. Because they can see it. And they, a lot of activity going on this morning. Oh my God, I can't even get that. Look, coming on over here. I ain't got nothing. I do not. It said, don't feed the waterfowl. I don't feed I don't feed the waterfowl. I don't feed the homeless, the outdoor dwellers. I'm like, no, I give to the organizations. They take care of y'all. This is a state park. I am at a state park. No, I'm not serving community service for those who know the state park. But when I have a bank of calls in the morning, I try to get out. I'm like, why am I rushing home? I have an empty nest. I have, worked all my life, and y'all know, those of you that do know, I have been a blogger at DryerBuzz.com, publisher, editor for 18 years, getting ready to be 18 years. I can stop saying 17 and start countdown. We're on the countdown for 18 years. It is the first day of October, and these little bugs is landing on me. It is the first day of October. October is my birthday month. And I usually come through the month of September with all kind of angst and anxiety, sense of urgencies towards the end of the year, the third quarter, trying to make sure I've been productive. Not only that, but when you are a creative, there's an angst that comes over you to make sure that you're creating. We call it the Kanye syndrome. The Kanye syndrome, that crazy sense of urgency where more people call you crazy and then more people realizing that you're just working through something. That something is trying to come through you, that you're about to bless them more than you necessarily about to bless yourself. And one of the things I could talk about Kanye is because we've always had the same narrative about Kanye. It's like, y'all, something's trying to come through. Now, and I'm going to tell you right now, this ain't even it. This is just another, what Kanye is doing right now. It's just another mode of operandi on the way to who he is and what he is supposed to be. All that he has been suppressing. Kanye has to get around, and this ain't, Lord, I hope that's not a mosquito. It's big, it's flying, it's landing. Please don't land on me, y'all. That's why I'm so ready for the first frost, because these damn things will be going away. But I know so many like Kanye. I know so many like Kanye. Let me see. Have you what? Hey, can you? Okay, I got it. My daughter's like, these kids today cash at me, Zelle me, all of this stuff. I'm like, you couldn't. We just parted ways. You could have said that. Look, why wait till I get gone? Okay. So, but anyway, I'm just saying, like I'm her goal mate. She is my goal mate though. But Kanye syndrome. Look at this activity. I told y'all something hit the bank. Look, peeking up. No, I didn't bring any food. Don't be peeking over here. No, nothing. Gone over there somewhere. Looking like, did she put anything over here? I don't feed the waterfowl. I'm trying not to get ate up myself. So, but I think that what he is doing, I mean, one is we as a blogger, like I said, for 18 years, we've written about, look at this one walking in the, where they do that? Where that thing come from? That's not your ordinary. Why is he walking like a flamingo? Harpo, what is going on? This thing has long legs. Did y'all see it? Tell me you saw Big Boy. Big Boy's out there. I saw him jump right there. But wait a minute. He doesn't have the same beak. He got long legs. That is not a duck. Y'all, I think we have spotted a white flamingo. This thing is walking on tall leg. Move, mosquito. I ain't got time for this. Y'all, it's got a... Remember that? What was that, Dr. Seuss, the ugly duckling? Was that Dr. Seuss? One of these things is not like the other. This thing stood up on long legs over here. Look at it. He's like, how can I'm going to get with them. Because, see, they roll as 3. Then he over here checking the bank to see if I don't come. Okay, if you see on the water, it looks like it's raining right there. Well, that's these little net like suckers feeding off. And basically, so what's gonna happen is they're gonna attract the fish. So if you're fishing, you need to get over there. And I think I know that because I had grandparents that would fish all the time. And then also I have to watch for snakes. I don't have nothing. No, I didn't bring anything. Nothing. Not a thing. Look, flying off. A crane. That's what that is. Not a, is that what it is? Come on through, Solange. That was a crane. Y'all, we gotta learn these animals. Look at the crane flying off. He's like, okay, I can't roll with y'all. You see him stood there like, I can't roll with y'all. That was a crane. Oh, somebody looked that up. Please tell me that's a good sign, because I have to lunch a thing today. Look, I didn't bring nothing. Not a thing. Y'all gonna have to find something else. It's three of them, and I kept saying it's 4. That was a crane trying to hang out with him. He stood up out that water. I was like, what? That ain't copacetic. That ain't supposed to happen. A crane. That's what that was, right? Or somebody tell me, because there's no such thing as a white flamingo, right? It's a crane. Okay, I need to go back. I'm gonna go back and get me. And I actually bought. For y'all, let me tell y'all. For those who grew up on Dr. Seuss, if you follow the Dryer Buzz, I know we scattered today. If you follow the Dryer Buzz book club we did last year, or year before, at some point, there is a Dr. Seuss adult book with all of the anecdotes in it. It's from all of the books that we had as kids. There is a compilation of anecdotes that is published in one book. In fact, when I go home today, in one of the many videos I'm going to do today, I'll pull the book out. And it's absolutely awesome and amazing if you grew up on Dr. Seuss. And to have, it's kind of like a teacher's edition. It is an adult edition. But of all the books that were published that we grew up on, there's fish jumping over there. There is one that has all the different anecdotes in it. Okay, yes, this is a special edition of How to Get Out of Bed. And oh my God, what's going on over there? Y'all, the fish are jumping like crazy over there. I promise you. Look. Oh my God, what is that? There's a serious ripple. Did they open the gate? It's going right across their water there. There's a spillway over there. I think they done stocked this water. Look at it. It's coming on. It's going to come this way. Because whatever goes on over there, you can see the ripple comes this way. And the water, there's a spillway over there. But right along the line there, it looked like a bunch of fish were jumping. And as I told you, the things were over here. It's an exciting day. What's the day? It's Tuesday, October 1st. Okay, Kanye syndrome. One of the things that blogging about Kanye for the last 18 years, and you can't be a blogger and not talk about things that happen with Kanye. Kanye having his accident, experiencing that final destination type syndrome, has always had the sense of urgency that no matter what his content was, be it he was going to produce something, put out his own album, his fashion line, all of those things, it's like you end up with this sense of angst in your creativity. I mean, you got to push it out, you got to give birth to it, and so forth. And then there's this woman that wants to love him, Kim Kardashian, and so forth, and all the craziness up in that family, and how bad they destroy men, for him to try to survive through that and still maintain some semblance of who he is. And we still don't know who he is. And this just church thing that he's doing, I still say even that is on the way to whatever, the one day when we really look back at Kanye. But listen, that's something that happens to all of us. You probably got up this morning, or if you're on your way in your commute, or you're waking up, or you're catching this however when. Man, this is driving me crazy what's going on in this water. I probably should have did a regular podcast. But you probably have woke up, put on your mask, suppress everything that you really want to do, really want to be, because I know that's what we have to do. Hell, I had to hold this conversation till Tuesday morning. I had the sense of this. This thing that I'm talking about right now has been in me a couple of weeks, couple of months, hell, all year, for the past 5 years. Can you imagine what I'm getting ready to do and finally freeing myself enough to do it? Is something that I wanted to do 5 years ago. So you can imagine I have had a serious case of fear of missing out, FOMO. People say, YOLO, you only live once. I am praying that ain't true, because I'm going to need another life to come back and do some things. So in my mind, I'm like, what religion is it with the incarnation? Because I need to know that I'm going to have another life, because there's some other things that I want to do that I ain't yet got to do in this one because of what my priorities were. And what I had to do. I had to walk away from blogging 5 years ago at the time when it was like reaching such heights, and people were really about to validate. You're about to find some validation as well. When I was in it, it was, people thought I was insane and crazy, like sitting here holding a phone and doing a full-on broadcast. I can't tell you how many people walk by me like, what the hell is she doing? And now I'm usually the one in the room who's not live. Okay, I used to be the only one that was live. Yes, they're coming on over. I used to be the only one that was live and walking and talking to my phone, taking pictures of my food. I had restaurants in Atlanta. I walk in, they knew I needed the table for one near the electricity, because I was going to be live long enough that my phone was going to die. And my service, they knew not to talk when they come to the table, just bring me what I want. I had that kind of report, and now that's every table. Okay, and it's like, and now everybody needs a good picture. Everybody's posting their food and so forth. I remember when the movie came out, the Julia and Julia, it was a blogger movie about how this woman was cooking her way through Julia Child's book, all of those things. And it creates a war between value, and it creates a bitterness in you, and that bitterness wells up in you. I have a lot of bitterness that I have to process right now because of the life that I wanted. But then there was the life that, hey, listen, well, this is kind of the cards you were dealt. Play this hand and win, right? Play the hand, you can win. But the thing about where we are right now, and I talked about this yesterday, regardless of the hand that you are dealt, you're probably not, even though we live in a very young country, America is a very young country, but we still live in a global society where even with the hand that you're dealt, like people out here, people tell me, I can't play spades. I'm like, you can go online and learn how to play spades. Now, you don't have to learn how to play spades like we did, right? Sitting down at the table with the wrong partner and then getting cussed out because you cutting. You can go watch many videos and learn how to run a Boston and how to have, get make them 13 books, set them, all that kind of stuff. It's like there's no such thing as not knowing what some of the stuff I have to do today. I just said yes. They asked me could I do it, and I was like yes. You know what I did all night? I'm like, let me go learn how to do that, because that opportunity don't come but so often. Stop saying no. It's like, hey, I can rock the. Can you? I would never forget, y'all. One time, y'all, the Spillway is doing this thing over there. Y'all can't see it. I'm not zooming in because I go pixelate. I remember one time I had this job opportunity, and usually, and I'm not the person to send out resumes and go for interviews and all that. You know, I usually know some folk, right? And so, I got this question, you know, can you operate this, that, and the other? This is in the early days of technology. I was just like hidden figures. It was like, there's a machine right there. It operates, everything in life operates on a premise. I'm going to find the premise, right? And they were like, look, we really need somebody to take this, do this, get this done. And I'm like, yeah, I could do it. Now, mind you, there was no place for me to go, especially, let me simplify it. I'm like, as long as there's a help, as long as there's a manual, but sometimes there is not help. Sometimes there is not a manual. When I started, there was no such thing as blogging. Blogging, weblog became a word while had already been out there doing it for about 5 years. So but I knew I wanted a media outlet. I knew that I wanted some form of a publication, and I spent all like 2+ years researching everything in existence, you know, no matter the demographic. I remember going and studying the publication for GQ, Ebony and Jet, Life magazine. There is still a magazine here in Atlanta today called the Atlanta Magazine. 50 years of it. It's over in the library. It's on microfiche. Every issue. Let me tell you, on the cover of a magazine, and when it says volume, this, that, and the other, that's a book. That means that if you go to the library and ask them for that information, they're going to go in the stacks, back in the back with all the periodicals, and get you an original copy. And they'll give you that. And so I was thinking about, I'm like, man, you know, I'm going to be a writer about all things in Atlanta. So I went, and I'm like, well, what has been written? You know, don't just say you want to be a writer. What has been written? It is written, as they say, right? It is written. Okay, where is it written? Let me go see how it's written. So I went and I did all this research on how things. There you go, big boy just jumped out again. On how things had been written about Atlanta and why so many of us were left out of it. And I said, okay, there is an opportunity here for me to tell the rest of the story, a part of the story. You guys, let me see. I think I got another message. Hold on. I might. Hold on. Okay, I think I got that message repeated. Okay. All right. She'll interrupt me if it's an emergency. And clearly it's not. So anyway, so where was I? I got interrupted. I know I was talking about research and all those things. So, I looked at how things were told. So when I first went out, like, okay, I think I want to do this, I did a couple of things that confirmed it. Like one, I went out, there was an event, and I went out to the event, and I wanted to meet Spike Lee in Storytime. You all know that story. That's how I got into this. I was writing. I had written some, drafts of different stories. I wanted to learn how to write screenplays and all of that. That's what I thought of stories. So I had written some amazing stuff, as people tell me, So the confirmation was there that this is something. These little pieces have played out in your life over and over and over and over again. Think about that. Something has played out in your life. Man, I can't wait for whatever this is going on in this water to get over here. Something has played out. Yeah, he's still down there. That's the stump, y'all. I call it the stump. It ain't that pretty, but they hang around it, so I see here. Something has played out, and something is playing out. Oh! I saw him, big boy, right there in the middle. He just come up right there in the middle. Y'all see that ripple? Y'all can't see it. I don't want to zoom in. It's going to pixelate. Y'all can see it. See that big ripple there in the middle? I can't zoom because I got the thing on there. And you guys are watching How to Get Out. Oh, God, dog, what'd I do? Okay, wait a minute. Let me get back. Hold on. Okay. Cool. That was an overlay. All right, I was like, don't let me mess up the broadcast. You are watching How to Get Out of Bed, special edition of How to Get Out of Bed. Guess who's out of bed? All right, but something has played out over and over in your life or throughout your life. And we oftentimes keep wondering, there's a fisherman over there. I want to always make sure I'm not disturbing the fisherman. So we want to, and it keeps coming back. So writing had played out in different sectors in my life when I was very young, a little bit of writing, a little bit of stage, and then stories and all this kind of stuff. And so I pretended to be a photographer. Let me tell y'all, Spike Lee was coming to town for an event. I pretended to be a photographer because I didn't want to stand in a long line and get my book signed. Yeah, I was looking for some privilege. I was looking for some favor. And I remember, I'm like, shoot, them photographers, they get a chance to get close. They have all kind of conversations. So what I knew about photographers, and my dad had a wonderful hobby of photography and cameras and all that kind of stuff. So I would not put on some all black because I noticed that was, because you always looking around. So I put on all black and I draped myself with a couple of cameras with script in hand, abstract. In fact, I looked up what, again, I researched, like, what do they appreciate? And don't hand them your whole script. Something I found said an abstract. They love abstract. People who can green light or produce and all that kind of stuff. They love an abstract. So I learned how to write an abstract on this screenplay that I had, or this book that I had, or whatever. I remember it to a T, but I don't remember it. So when I got there, I saw the line. It was a long line. Spike was launching his 40 Acres and a Mule fashion line that went into the Macy's stores. And so this line was long. I had all these books. So Spike, if you don't know, after each film, there's a book that goes along with it that has actually the script in there, and he tells a story about how he got the movie financed, who helped him, especially the Malcolm X one, y'all. I'm telling you, get that one because there's so much good stuff in there, because that was the hardest movie to make. There were a lot of people that did not want that movie made, and as much as it is iconic today, it was probably, as people love to attach to Spike, the most controversial, simply because trying to get black folk to own the movie was the most difficult thing, trying to keep other people from wanting the movie, trying to hang on to the script that he had, the permissions that he had, the relationships, and then too trying to get black folk who say they got a whole lot of money to come on and put their money in. All that story is in there. And so I knew to go approach. I walked up like, can I just give you, I had the books. I was like, I'm over here taking some pictures, but can you just kind of sign my books? I really did want the signature. And then I said, well, can I give you this? And he said, what's that? And I was like, an abstract. And he literally said to me, okay, give that to my boy. And so dude steps from behind Spike and takes it. He said, put that with my stuff. Well, dude happened to me, and I still say it to this day, dude turned out to be John Singleton, right? Later on in life, right? Because you know how we do. We don't pay people no attention until they get attention, right? So he happened to turn out to be John Singleton. But what they were so curious about is that, whoa, Atlanta, because everywhere they go, you got these photographers, and people don't hire black women photogs. People don't hire black women photogs. They're like, wait a minute, they got a sister. And so this conversation ensues about how much black women are running things in Atlanta. And they were like, well, wait, listen, hey, we got a couple things going on. Why don't you hang out? I got kids at home. I can't just go rogue like that. I just want to get this book signed, get this abstract in your hand, and I'm going to vanish, right? But they were like, no, we going here, we going there. Why don't you roll? Which literally I couldn't. I got babies, right? So after I got what I needed, I'm like, then I was like, wait a minute, you might need to. And I said, well, you know what? I was going back because what we do, stuff like that goes over our head. So I'm back in the car. I'm excited. I got my book signed, my abstract in his hand or whatever, And I'm getting ready to go home. And I'm like, wait a minute. What was that? And I'm like, you need to go on to the next thing. Go on. Because they were like, roll with us. And I'm like, no. I'm back in the car. And I'm like, getting ready to go home because we don't know how much we have the universe at our disposal. We don't know, and it's okay, because I guarantee it's somebody that they can't get out of bed because they didn't say yes to something yesterday that they feel like they're missing opportunity. Let me tell you, you never miss an opportunity. Sometimes it may not be the right time. Sometimes you may have to say no. Sometimes this fish is jumping out here, y'all. The fish just tried to get that bird. Look at the bird flying away. He just jumped out the water, whatever that is. It might not be no fish, because fish don't jump up trying to get birds. I don't know. Did the bird? Okay, you learn about nature. Maybe the bird tried to go catch the fish, and he dropped the fish, because the fish don't jump to get the bird. The bird was trying to fish, and okay. Things is happening. What my fish? See it jump up again right there. What my fisherman at? He must be deep in the banks over there somewhere. Is that him standing over there? Dude, you on the wrong side of the bank. He's over there fishing where the little things were, but you can see the fish are all over there. One, because the water, the temperature has not done its thing yet. So anyway, back to, you feel like you missed something yesterday. And let me tell you, I just had to sit my behind down somewhere for 5 whole years. And when I tell you, each up in those years, 3 years into it, I kept trying to say I can do this and this. You know me, I'm about the and factor. We want the and factor in our life. Man, they jumping them. Now they right here. Look, whatever that was over there is now over here. It's coming, y'all. So we are all out here trying to have some and factor, because we keep being told that there's this construct of or. You can't do this and that. All day long it's this or that. And I thought that I had to do this or that. But now, in hindsight, the only thing I can do at this point is, somebody asked me this a couple of weeks ago, how do I do this? I said to them, save yourself. Save yourself. Because if you fall into that construct of or, you're going to get to a point in life where you like, man, I should have did this, I should have did that. I don't want nobody to have those experiences. And if you wonder, why this How to Get Out of Bed podcast, I don't want people to have those experiences. I want people to realize that you don't have to multitask it. You can focus on one thing at a time. I heard a word the other day called zero tasking. And I listened to this podcast called Cooking Issues. I love to listen to stuff that I'm not even in the demographic. I love finding stuff that look, there my little ducks go. I love finding stuff where I'm not their traditional demographic, right? But I went into the kitchen, so I went out there to find a couple of kitchen podcasts and so forth. So I'm listening to this. And the guy, he was like, of course, the male part of the show, he was so, look at the crane flying on over there. Man, that's a flight if ever I saw one. He was so distraught that the female part of the show was multitasking or attempting to multitask. But when you multitasking, something is not getting the attention. And men particularly, they love 100% attention. They love for you to put 100% attention on stuff. And women, we don't get that opportunity much, okay? So she was saying I'm multitasking. He was like, no, you zero tasking, because this is the thing we're supposed to be doing right now, taping this podcast, right? And she was on her phone. She was answering an email. She was looking up data, information, something that had been said way back in the show. She was still trying to find the answer because she wanted to give the information. He said, you can give that at any time, any show. Right now, can you be part of this conversation? So they get into this whole thing about multitasking and zero tasking. And I remember saying, and this is why I say things will play out at different times. One of the things that I have said after going through the trauma of the last 5 years is I don't ever want to have to multitask ever again. I want to sit here and talk on this, and whatever distraction I'm having, I want those distractions to be something exciting, not my daughter's texting me, stop what you're doing and go answer her text. Because if it was of emergency, she would have called and interrupted the broadcast, right? But she knows I'm probably live somewhere, right? So she sent a text. But me as a mom, I apply, and depending on which child it is, you got your levels of priority. Not to say you got a favorite, but there are certain kids that if they're asking you something, they don't wait until the last minute. There are kids where if they ask you for something, they probably got a whole 6 months. Because you have those that that's just where it is. I got one child. If she asked me for anything, I know it probably should have been done 6 months ago. I got another one. She asked me for something. I know she got a whole 6 months before she even need to think about it, let alone get it done, right? I got another. She ain't gonna ask for nothing. I got a son. He the one everybody go to, because he and this other one, man, those are the planners. They execute plan A. Two of them, they're plan A. It's plan A. My son right now is living plan A. People like, man, what's his backup plan? Honey, do you not know about numerology? There is no backup plan. It's plan A. I looked up this boy. I'm thinking he in one part of the world, he's in another. With a suitcase just gone. The man, listen to me, the man has been living out of suitcases for the past 5 years. Because we had a construct in the household. Once the youngest graduates, we go do our thing. I'm the only one that ain't got off the ground yet. I'm still sitting here. In the past 5 years, I have not traveled. But I did so much so early on that I needed to slow down for a minute, and really needed to slow down for a minute. And of course, coming through, there were times when I couldn't get out of bed. But if there are scenarios that are playing out in your life and they continue to play out in your life, it's probably something you ought to do. Now, let me tell you something. Like for me, writing, I love blogging, I love podcasting, I love content creation, I love, there's a side to that, and I don't love this. I love finding something that's buzzworthy, and I love creation. That leads me into an arena with entrepreneurs. Although, I can do this. That's not my love, because entrepreneurs, they're very stubborn, and our economy has changed so much that I'm basically waiting on people to catch up. We got another one on the bank fishing. So I'm waiting for things to catch up. I'm waiting for our entrepreneurs to catch up. Let me tell you, there's a conversation, speaking of listening to podcasts, and zero tasking, multitasking, and so forth, and trying to figure out what is this thing? What is this? I'm trying to figure out how to call it. What is this one note that keeps playing out in the scenario of your life? Because you keep hearing it, and that it's a full-on orchestra. That one note should be a full-on orchestra, but either you don't want to be a one-man band, right? Or you can't trust enough people to go ahead and put together the trio, okay? Or what is a trio, and beyond, or full-on orchestra, right? Because there are a lot of things that I do that I'm a one-woman band. But there are other things that I might want to task myself with, or accomplish, that I need to task to somebody else. Talk about multitasking and zero tasking. I saw you, big boy. I have found that trying to multitask this thing doesn't necessarily work. There's an event that I have to do coming up here on the 27th, and I'm like, while I know if I produce it, it's going to be absolutely awesome and amazing, because I give myself to that, right? But I also know that I need to operate in another capacity. So I might need to bring on a producer or a virtual assistant or this, that, and the other. No, and let me take that or out. I know that in order to get this done, I need to bring on, so that I don't have to multitask it and I can focus. I need to bring on the virtual assistants, the producers, and so forth. But I know that I need to tap into those resources that I have, where the person will come with the same sense of urgency that I have. And I think when we look at Kanye, and Kanye has the greatest biblical-esque story. That bird, he trying to get them fish, y'all. They too big. He keep dropping them. There's a bird. He over there in the tree. He keep trying to get them fish, but they too big, so he keep dropping them. Poor baby. Oh, Lordy. That's what that is. That's why I'm thinking the fish are jumping. They being dropped. The birds over there trying to get them out the water. They too big. Bless his heart. He keep dropping his poor little fish. Okay, but anyway. I'm here trying to help you Don't drop. I'm trying. Don't drop. Keep your eyes on the prize. Look, right as my good friend Dr. Henry Carter would say, right side. Some of us we dropping it because it's too big. We trying to go for the big fish. When you're gonna eat. You just need to get the right size fish. You need to get the right. You just need to get the right size. If he get the right size, he could have cleared this entire reservoir. It's not a lake. It's a reservoir. If he went for the right size one, but see, then you looking through that water, you seeing that reflection. You know, remember that story? I wrote a blog piece on it. The dog and the bone, where the dog had a bone and he walked by his own reflection and thought that dog has a bigger bone, better bone, because he couldn't see the bone. Because you think about it, you got a bone in your mouth, you can't see yours, but you can see everybody else's. That's what we're doing out here in social media, right? Just because y'all doing the same thing, they just hired a photographer. Right, y'all are in the same place. They just put all their money on a photographer and made theirs look good. They hired a graphics person and you doing it yourself. You know, I'm telling you, I know this stuff. This is what I tell people. And I've got a event on the 27th, which is kind of find out is the holiday, India. Look, look, going back in the water, fishing right there. He dropped it again. Look, flying back to the tree. He just dropped another one right there. Just dropped another one. You're not gonna trying to get them big fish. That bird don't know what I'm talking about. He's like, what's she yelling about over there? He keep going, trying to get the big fish. There's big fish all over there. They need to go over there and fish on that bank. It's a trail. You can walk right on around there. He trying to get he trying to fish it too big. Look, oh, dear Jesus. Did y'all see that sucker come out that water right there? That was Big Boy right there, y'all. I know he ain't trying to catch Big Boy. Y'all, I'm about to go get me a fishing reel. And I don't even like fishing. But when I tell you, that was a big joker, right? Did you see the head on that fish come out that water right there? I'm going to get me a reel. Okay, let me think. What did we do with Mama Buzz fishing tackle stuff? I don't even know. I think my daughter packed it in the closet there. Y'all, my mother used to come and hang out. I didn't know where she was going. We ain't bit more know where she was going. She used to always say Sweetwater. Anybody come over here? This is a couple of miles from the house, and I'm like, I'm not going out there, because we grew up with my grandparents and our parents fishing, and so that was something when we decided there's another generation. We ain't getting out there on that water. We're not fishing. I ain't getting up at no 5 o'clock in the morning trying to go out there and go fishing. But don't think if it come down to it, we don't know how to do it, because we know about that fishing. But anyway, let me get back to what I was saying. Right size, y'all. Go for the right size, okay? Look. Now they starving. They hungry as I don't know what. But see, they don't become dependent on people coming out here throwing them some bread when all these fish look at, there's no fog when the fog is already lifted off the water. That means the water is at a perfect temperature. It's very quiet. It's not even like the wind's not even blowing it. Now is the time. It's people full on the bank over there. Look at that, jumping out the water right there. There's a bird over there, keeps coming down, trying to get him a fish. He keep grabbing the big fish. Look, they going the little ripple right there. They're different. Look, see, the lady just came. She's laying over there. They're going over there now, see if she got some food, because they have become dependent upon somebody feeding them. Have you become dependent on somebody feeding you? I know I have, and I still gotta get out here and make it. What I eat today, I gotta make it. What I eat today, I made last week, or the week before, or the month before. The residual is coming in, and the residual is definitely coming in. If you guys are out there watching that Harlem Godfather of Harlem, a story they succinctly and uniquely borrowed from Harlem Godfather, a book written by a very dear friend, and we became friends because she trusted me with the story. Over a decade ago, she did the biography. You remember after Denzel did the movie American Gangster, the story of Frank Lucas, the widow of Bumpy Johnson decided she needed to tell Bumpy Johnson's story because people were out here taking all kind of liberties, and so she got with a best-selling author, and they co-authored because this young lady had grown up around Bumpy and Mrs. Johnson and the gangster lifestyle of Harlem. And those who live in Harlem, just like you are particular about where you live, they're particular about Harlem. And so they co-authored the book called Harlem Godfather, The Rap on My Husband, Bumpy Ellsworth Johnson. And so now, as you know, on Epix, there is a series. I'm so glad it's a series. And I was excited about it. And when I saw the promo of it, and how I ended up seeing the promo of it is I did a podcast with the late Mrs. Mamie Hatcher Johnson, who was Bumpy's widow. And of her, she wanted to refute the story Frank Lucas was telling. And she wanted to talk about Bumpy. She wanted people to know more about him because it had sparked such an interest in that time. You know, look at you guys. I mean, y'all love that movie Godfather, where there was a Harlem Godfather. There was a Godfather in pretty much every major city, and so forth. That lifestyle, the gangsterism, and I'm not like glorifying gangsterism, but this was a time in our country, a very young country, keep in mind, that we live in, and so. She wanted to tell the story of their life together, and who Bumpy truly trusted. She felt like Frank Lucas had kind of put it out there that he was Bumpy's right-hand man, and she wanted to let people know that that wasn't necessarily or at all the case. And so they came through with some very differing stories, and so they sent out a press release, but some of the, the natural traditional media didn't, like, you want us to put a black female on the cover? You want us to make that a primary story? Well, I'll make it a primary story. And so not only did she grant us an interview, she did it on podcast, so her voice is forever there. Not only did she do the podcast with us, she hung out with us for the day on social media. Now, social media during that time was far more advanced than it is today. We're just now getting back to what it was with live streaming. Like, I'm live with you now. I'm showing you an image. You're hearing my voice. Well, we had this technology 20 years ago. And it was highly profitable then. You paid for it, right? And so I had a podcast. We had several different chat rooms that ran the podcast, and she went into those chat rooms and she went on camera. She answered. She went on the microphone. She didn't go on camera. She went on the microphone, audio, and she answered questions. People had questions about Harlem and about Bumpy and about gangsters and about, because if you remember, I'm gonna let this helicopter go by here. Somebody living that helicopter life, and that's not a commercial helicopter. We have heard that there are a couple of doctors, producers, billionaires that have moved to the area, and they live the helicopter life, and they seem to be flying in the direction of the airport just down the road there. And it looks like they're coming from the airport. The airport's over that way, so I don't know where they're coming from. They're probably coming from home going, so I don't know. Let's not figure out their life. Let's continue figuring out our life. So she wanted to tell the story, so she came on and she did the podcast. And the podcast, man, so many people came out the woodwork to listen to that podcast that she ended up going late into the evening answering questions because people didn't know, one, that she still exists. I mean, that movie brought her out of the shadows, and not only her out of the shadows, the fact that she was then coming out of the shadows, not necessarily the shadows, she was just living. She was 93 years old. She was living her life when we did that interview. She was, enjoying her life, but at 93, and being that she spoke about Bumpy, it opened the floodgates for others to come out and tell their stories, particularly those for whom their story all of a sudden became in Frank Lucas's story. And so it was awesome and amazing. So when I saw this and we talked about it on the podcast about future Bumpy Johnson projects. One, how she was never ever consulted on any of these things, or many of them. And I asked her, I said, well, did they know to consult with you? Were they able to read? Did they know? Nobody even knew that these people were still out there. And many of them at that time were, in their 90s, because they were, this was a lifestyle that was going on in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. And so, add 50 years to that, right? Exactly. So, but when she came out and spoke, and even after we did the interview, another person went back to Frank Lucas and asked him about the interview, and Frank Lucas is like, you think I'm gonna say something about Miss Mamie? No, I'm not. I don't have nothing to say. So he never did. He never countered what she said, and he was like, hey, but they did say, well, his particular project, let me get settled here so I don't bounce y'all around. He did go on to say that his particular project in the film took certain liberties, and one of those, you got to know that Ruby Dee was in that movie, and Ruby Dee was Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis was definitely attached to Harlem, and so forth, and so on. So when we saw this, we have a YouTube out there with an excerpt of the podcast. It started getting all kind of traction. So I was like, okay, wait a minute. Let me go see what's going on. And I saw that this project was underway. And I, knowing like, as adamant as Miss Mamie Johnson was about a bumpy project, surely they had this person who gave me this interview. I just knew that they were working on this project. And when I went to her, I'm looking at her social media. I'm like, she's posting, but she's not talking about the project. And usually what happens about 2 years prior to a project, everybody under non-disclosure. So I'm thinking, oh, she can't talk about it. So what I proceeded to tell her, when you can speak on the project, please come and give us some buzz. And she was like, what project? I'm like, there's a bumpy project. And so I said, not only that, I said the actress who is playing Miss Mamie mentioned the book, that in order to prepare for the role, she had to read the book, and that she wanted, and she specifically says what she brought to the role, she made sure that it came from Mamie Johnson, who was adamant about how they were portrayed. And I'm like, so they talking about your book. So now she's like, she was just, hey, I didn't know. God, dog. Y'all, this fish are jumping. So now there's some things underway. It's like, yeah, we're gonna watch the series, and she has already sent them a letter that she better not hear nothing should that she's basically got some lawyers on the case. And that, if her words, phrases, quotes, any of those things. But I mean, the biggest evidence is she's been told that the book was in the room. You heard the actress say on radio, she was given the book, and that, and all this kind of stuff. And not only that, the actress, when she talks about how adamant Miss Johnson was, means that she herself had to listen to the podcast, because that was the place that she was very adamant, using the word, about the portrayal of not only Harlem, but her husband, okay? And everybody has a reference of the movie with Lawrence Fishburne. If you don't have Lawrence Fishburne, if you don't have that as a reference, you have American Gangster as a reference, and any and all reference. Even if you have watched the original Godfather, which was written about a fictitious character because they clearly would not use real names. But even in the Godfather, they talk about the blacks, the black side of the mob and so forth, and that would reference, and because there was this full-on war, and it sounds like the police academy is getting ready to get going over there. There was this full-on war between them, because fighting, trying to keep when the other mobs, the Italian mobs and all those, wanted to fight, when remember Frank Lucas trying to get into the heroin and all that kind of stuff. Well, the other mobs were trying to flood. They didn't want to put that stuff in their community. They wanted to put it in other communities. So Bumpy and others was trying to keep it out of Harlem and keep it out of Chicago and all these other places and so forth. So they had to band together. And so while one is fictitious, the black stories are real, and the names have not necessarily been changed, and the occurrences are actual and factual. So you gotta understand how good it feels, because for me to wake up on that day, remember I said scenarios playing out in your life. It's like I said, this thing with Kanye is like, I know what was important to me is I wanted people to log on and to see stories of fearless black women. I particularly wanted my daughters and my son, when they go on this new thing called the internet back then, I wanted them to see fearless black women, because their mother was a black. I wanted them to understand who it was I was trying to be and why I had to be so fearless, because I remember my son trying to tell me one day, Mom, you just need to be a little nicer. And I'm like, let me tell you, nice costs. Nice is a risk sometimes. You know, I'm a woman out here. I got the responsibility of not one, not two, not three, but four of y'all. It's four of y'all. We don't have time to lose nothing, and we have to live at such a risk factor. You know, the cavalry doesn't come for black women. I'm just saying, right? Oh, we got a flight. Look at him flying over there to the others. Look, he saw him. Find your tribe, people. Look at him. See him fly across that water. Like, where they at? Find your tribe. That's that crane. The crane, he keep trying to be friends with the ducks. And they like, look, they leaving him. They're like, no, you're not like us. But he's like, I'm white. Not in that sense. He keep trying to hang out with them, but you're a crane. The ugly duckling. You got them long legs. You walking outside the water. We floating inside the water. They're like, no, look at him. He don't know. He can't find his foe. It's like, look at your beak. Your beak's not, we don't have that wingspan. We ain't got long. We're not standing up in this water like that. You need to go. That's the crane. He keeps trying to, look, they leaving him. They're like, no. It's a mother. I think it looked like a mother and three. Somebody go look that up. What's going on there? I need to know what's going on there. So anyway, how to get out of bed. What time is it? It's about 8:30. We're right at 52 into this. We usually hang out for about an hour. But let me tell you, that sense of urgency. Like I said, I just knew I knew the internet was going to be a vital part of my life, and I wanted to log on to see fearless women. And speaking of fearless women, today, more fearless women coming your way on Leading Women podcast. I started out they jumping. I started out today talking about how Tuesdays I go into producer mode. I produce a number of podcasts. One of the podcasts I'm going to produce today, I am a co-host on, and it's called Leading Women. It's myself, Yolanda, and Angela Stalkup, and we will be on at we moved to 2 o'clock. I forgot we moved to 2 o'clock. So we will talk about leading women, and we are out here looking for leading women, and we are finding so many fearless women. One of the things I can tell you guys, when I started Dryer Buzz, because prior to Dryer Buzz, I had newsletters, I had other publications and so forth. But when I started Dryer Buzz, I really did want to focus on the story of women. And when I tell you, in the 18 years that I've been out here, those are some of the hardest stories to tell. I've rarely been granted permission to tell a woman's story. The stories that we have told, the very few that we have told over 18 years, I had to tell those stories without their permission, without even involving them, and just showing them after the fact, because women rarely ever feel that their story is ready to be told. When we spoke with Mamie Johnson, let me tell you, she was 93, and Karen, who co-authored the book with her, had been trying to get Miss Mamie to work on that forever, and it wasn't until she became fed up And it wasn't until she became fed up, like they keep telling your husband's story. Miss Mamie, will you please tell the story? Tell us what you know, your side of things. And not until she was 93. And when I tell y'all, few short years after that, she passed on. Now, can you imagine not having that story? And they did. And not only that, let me tell y'all, telling her story, there was no publisher. They did a Kickstarter, a crowdfunding to get that book out. They did a crowdfunding. People made a donation, a contribution to that, and their names were printed in the book. There was nobody came up and said, hey, here's a couple $100,000 advance, go and write this, live out your life, the rest of your life in prosperity. The mob, they take care of each other, but nobody wanted to make that a primary story. Now look how popular they wish dude would go and write a part 4 to The Godfather. We couldn't even get a true part 1 without a bunch of liberties and dramatic licenses taken, and people taking the story and still taking the story. It's like, just imagine if this movie with Forrest Whitaker, Godfather of Harlem, just imagine if they were promoting the movie birthed from a fearless black woman. See, this is how Hollywood is stuck on stupid and stuck on bias and stuck on prejudice and just stuck. Because, first of all, Black Panther they keep trying to figure out how come Black Panther made $1 billion. Because women saw themselves as fearless. Well, I'm sorry, we live in a country with constructed entertainment. I'm not even going to say country, but there's a constructed entertainment that women don't want to see themselves. Like, that money ain't coming out of our purses. Everybody going to the movie is taking money out of our purses. It's coming out of our household where we control the purse strings, right? Everybody. Nobody anywhere is spending any money that probably ought not to be going into a woman's purse. I'm just saying, nobody. There ain't a single solitary soul that's spending a single solitary penny that shouldn't have a discussion with a woman. But the reason Black Panther, and the reason why they have not duplicated Black Panther is because they still refuse. Black Panther is the only movie that has shown fearless black women, because you cannot go to Africa talking about a warrior, because the warriors in Africa were women. If you don't know that, let me tell you, Zora Neale Hurston told you that a century ago. Her new book out called Barracoon. If you just even open the flap of the book, Cujo's first memory is the women warriors and how they came in and destroyed the village. Now, of course, you're going to have to tie to that it was the women warriors that captured some of these folk and stowed them in the... See, even the slave narratives, even the enslaved, the warring of the tribes, I'll start there. Before there was slavery across the global continents, there was the warring of the tribes, where the warriors, the stronger warriors, were women. I mean, think about it. A woman who can give birth, you've got to know that she is the essence of brute strength. If she can give birth, she can fight. I don't know why these women out here not fighting, but honey, your body is made to give birth, which means you can be subjected to all kind of pain. Now, they do subject us to all kind of pain trying to experiment, but they don't know that pain comes, that brute strength comes from within. So some of the warriors that attacked these villages with these ruthless African royalties. One of the reasons, standing in front of me today, I'm African royalty. Well, do you know that the quote unquote African royalty, if you remained on the continent of Africa, that your royal lineage probably goes back to slavery. Now, I know the conversation is dismissive of all of that. I understand. I know enough, and I've interviewed enough people. And the latest one was David Oyelowo, who is on the red carpet in America right now for his American roles, and he talks about him being African royalty. Well, if you go read Cujo's book, it talks about these warring of these tribes who couldn't and wouldn't take care of themselves, was going to take it from other tribes, and then traded those people into this slavery thing. And of course, we know now as we are looking back at 1619, the 400 years of the start of slavery in America. What was the first 20 that they traded because they couldn't make it. They needed things in order to make it on to where the slave trade was already going on. When they dropped off a couple, they were like, oh man, they buying over there too. We need to go get some more. They buying over here. They buying over with Cujo, as you know, Zora Neale Hurston from Zora Neale Hurston's book Barracoon. Cujo was captured 50 years after slavery was abolished in America. So that meant that he was captured by pirates. He was pirated. Okay, because they couldn't, like, no, you can't sell anymore in America. Slavery is abolished in America. Oh, but we can still if we go to this port, they'll still take them. Yeah, we can still drop a few off, right? It's still going on because you had no way. Most people had no way of knowing that freedom had gone across the land. That's why we celebrate Juneteenth, because it was like, oh, now everybody knows. Like, we free, okay? So all of those, oh, God dang, y'all, we are so, this thing is so deep. This life that we live, it's so deep. And I know when you listen to some of my stuff, you like, man, but and I'm talking to you as there's gunfire. Police, now mind you, that pop you're hearing, those are police over there being trained to shoot folk, and you know who they shoot the most, okay? I'm just saying. So here I am talking to you about these constructs that go on in our lives, and that's the soundtrack, really, you know? And I know you just wanted to come on social media and escape some things, but not if you clicked into this broadcast. If you clicked into this broadcast, you probably had these kinds of questions like, how does all of this stuff connect? And all I'm trying to do is get you to get out of bed, because even with all this stuff that's going on, and we're waiting on a verdict, and I'm going to check and see, I'm not getting all kind of notifications yet, so I imagine the verdict has not come down in the Amber Geiger case, where they are trying to grant this woman all kind of privileges and giving her castle domain over somebody else's castle. And I'm telling you, in this case, if she does not face severe punishment for this, it's going to change up the dynamic. People out here trying to turn this clock back, that will turn the clock back, and particularly turn the clock back because apparently there are more African Americans on that jury. But hell, let me tell you, skin folk ain't kinfolk, skin folk ain't kinfolk. Okay, that's why we're here in America now, because several of them were able to be, and there's a spider in front of me here. Several people that look like us were able to be convinced to participate in the slave trade. Okay, that door of no return was manned by somebody that looked like you. I'm just saying, right? That's why you gotta learn how to identify folk. And that's why when I sat down here, I started talking about how to identify your goal mates, how to find somebody that help bring some of these scenarios that keep playing in your life, how to get that. Look, stop trusting everybody. Pull your team together where you can say, people say the I in team is in front of team. I trust everyone around me. I team. Okay, team, trust everyone around me. If you can't trust people around you, find you a new team. Roll by yourself if you have to. People out here scared, afraid to be by themselves. They don't like the silence of their own thoughts and so forth. You can get this, whatever it is you got to get done. You ain't got to multitask. You can focus. You got time to focus. The universe will give you time to focus. I wanted to stop for a minute. I have got a noon call. I got to go have some breakfast. I have got to get on these graphics. I got to come up with this graphics package. I'm telling you. And zero tasking. I don't want to multitask. I want to zero task. I want to focus. I want to focus. But you got to, just like I just said it out loud there, the universe is like, okay, we're going to grant you that. You know, I want to focus for an hour each morning and navigate myself out of bed. You know, I had to get out of bed this morning because I said, okay, this is a priority. I want to do this one thing, then I want to do this thing, and I want to do this thing. I'm listening. I hear something going on at the bank here. Oh, somebody's pulling out their fishing stuff. You know, And guarantee you, there's probably somebody sitting like, how do you get to do that? Why do you get to do that? Rather than ask. We've been talking about this, that if you feel like you don't know something, there's no way you can not know. All you got to do is go out the internet will tell you. I mean, look how much I learned about. I told you there was something at the end of this bank here. I see the ripple. I hope it don't come running up out of there, whatever you are down there. Look how much I just learned about football just this weekend, to the point that I was able to, the narcissist in me, influence a conversation that's now happening with our team. And one of the reasons I was able to influence that conversation is simply because of the numbers that I have. Because y'all will click it, like it, share it, steal it, borrow it, repost it, all of those things. I was able to influence some conversation and do some things with sports simply because I wanted to, and because it's something like, again, remember I said scenarios that play out in your life that keep coming up. We did some sports stuff. Somebody want to know, was I going to bring back the Tailgate Report, which was a segment that I used to do for radio, and want to know, are you producing that segment again? I might, I might do some things. It was this weekend was really exciting, even though, our team didn't win. I think we're going to have a great win. I think our team is going to do well on the road, more so than they will at home. There is something circling in the water there, y'all. It's coming this way. Oh, is that somebody throw a rod? No. It's something moving right there. I thought maybe if somebody was fishing. Look at it, got his head up out the water there. Can y'all see that? Right there. In the middle of the screen there's a little speck in the water there. It's moving right there in the water. I thought maybe somebody was on the bank. Maybe it was their fishing reel, but nope. There's something in the water. This has been exciting. I have to go back and listen to these things myself, because I know I jump around. It's called the Kanye syndrome, when you have such a sense of urgency where you got to say something, you got to do something. I watched a video, and I like that these things are playing out in his life, even though, it's all seems to be unexpected, but I don't think it's unexpected. And I don't think that this is the totality of it. Remember, we did that podcast where we talked about these moments where too often we think that a moment is the totality of who we are. And remember, I told you I had that day I woke up and I was asking myself, I was questioning my life. And I was questioning, how did I phrase it? I said, have you ever questioned, the existence of your entire life? And I talked myself out of bed. I'm like, why would you let that one moment define or become the totality of who you are? It was just a moment. And I know we feel like things carry that kind of weight with us, but they don't. They really don't. That's why you see people who, they get to a point and you think, man, they done it. And they're like, no, I'm on to the next. I'm now I've done it. That was one goal. That was but one goal. Now it's time to move on to the next goal. And I'm like, dang, because you think that there's a point that we just become fully satisfied. And guess what? I think as long as we keep breathing, we keep dreaming, we keep becoming more and more innovative. We keep looking for challenges. And it may be just a certain segment of us. Some people do get to a point. They're like, okay, I did that. I'm done. But it's this thing called prerogative, audacity. These are some of the words for today, because I don't have the journal. So let's think of some of our words for today. Prerogative. I know I borrowed from Bobby Brown. I'm the number one Bobby Brown fan, if y'all don't know that. Prerogative, audacity. Angela and I always talk about the audacity. The audacity of women. When Barack Obama wrote his book, he called it the audacity of hope. Audacity. I have the audacity to come out here and talk to people about how to get out of bed, while cars and stuff are running behind me, but giving you a vision of this lake, how to get out of bed. Let me put that back on there. Let me put that on your screen there. That's what this is, how to get out of bed, but I wanted to share with you guys. Let me do this. Put that there. There we go. All right, this was just some how to get out of bed. Now I'm going to be quiet for a minute for those of you that did peek in, trying to see the terrain. Again, comments, I have to catch the comments because I'm broadcasting from another platform. And so now I'm going to let y'all, we're in this, well, I can't end, I tell you what, I'm going to come back and just do the water here, because, so if you want just some quiet in the reservoir, I'll come back. I forgot, because I got to let this go to a podcast. When I hit stop, this is going to be syndicated. And they're going to be like, why is all that dead air at the end of the podcast? And we don't want to have to answer to that, basically. But the water, I love sitting here and watching this water come to life. My first call today is at noon. If you want, let me see, noon. Oh, dang, I got to do a kitchen episode. I saw some steaks yesterday. I think I need to go by the butcher's. Oh, again, some ripple at the end of the thing here. So let me just tell you today, we've got I got a call at noon, so hopefully I have some stuff for you for that. Also, we have Leading Women podcast. If you're looking for fearless women, you want to become a fearless woman, you are a fearless woman. Leading Women podcast. Go look that up. Can you believe that let me tell you how important this is. The name in and of itself was available. We were able to get the podcast, the Facebook page, etc., simply because women are out here not telling their story. Leading Women podcast, especially as we head into this election season. And hopefully I'm going to have we're going to move it to a platform so people can call in, and not just a taping on a thing where I have to do so much production afterwards. So hopefully I get that done today after this call. If you would like a call, if you would like to pitch or pick my brain, as they say, you can go to AskDryerBuzz.com, AskDryerBuzz.com, and we're going to help you wake up famous. Stay tuned for that. That is something that's coming as well. But that's it, guys. All right, so I do feel like sitting. The temperature is perfect right now. The sun has just hit the bank, and I'm going to chill for a little bit more since I don't have to be out of here quite yet. How to Get Out of Bed is a podcast. This is book 2 of How to Get Out of Bed as we build it on another 90 episodes. The first 90 episodes, book 1, is available where we literally work through coming out of trauma. And again, I got to the end of those 90 episodes like, okay, cool, that's done. But then I realized, like, wait a minute, why? Let's keep it going. Let's go ahead and do book 2. And so now we are in book 2, building on another 90 episodes. And this one, it takes on a different tone. It's like, it keeps going. It keeps going, y'all. I keep going, it keeps going. All right. But thank you so much for you guys, for your support. I'm going to give you a few minutes to just enjoy the sounds, and then we'll be out.
DryerBuzz.com and follow @DryerBuzz on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's all about the buzz.